Hi everyone. Well, we're at practicum number 4. So today you are going to start plotting out your episodes, the stories, the characters, the A, B, and C storylines, and all of that hard work that you guys have been putting into your shared Google Doc is now going to get outlined, and pretty soon you're going to start writing. So today I wanted to just take a look at our workbook together. And here we are for class number 4. And what you guys are going to do is start looking at how you can plot out the scenes for your first episode. So in your workbook, you have this outline that I made for you. And I'm sure that your showrunner will take this and move it over into your shared Google Doc where you can start filling it in. But I also have a couple worksheets that I'm going to show you that I've used in some of my other workshops for novel writing. And if you guys want to use the worksheets to help you organize, we all sort of visualize prop paradigms differently. So you're going to have to decide as a group what plot paradigm worksheet you guys want to use. So I'm going to just show you a couple of those that I use or that I've created, and you guys can choose if you want to use that as well. So here, basically, in our workbook, I've done one kind of worksheet for you. So it's divided up into your 5 acts, as you can see. And at the top, it says episode number and title. So in Act 1, you want to have the setup, the inciting incident, introduce your characters, introduce your goals, move into Act 2. And here, I'm not giving you specifics because you have to start constructing, like, how will your A, B, and C storyline show up in each one of the 5 acts. And that part is fun and can be frustrating, but it's all about sort of working like a jigsaw puzzle in a way. So find the person in your group who's best at jigsaw puzzles and make sure that you enlist their help, okay? So this is only one way that you can outline your 5 episodes. You can do it this way. But I also have, you've probably heard me talk about this a lot, the novel Dark Matter, A Ghost Story by Michelle Paver from 2011. And, just for fun, because I'm a total nerd, and because I love the book, hashtag fangirl, what I did was I took the book and I decided to break it down into these various components and deconstruct the plot and see if I could then reconstruct it by putting in the scenes and things that were happening. So this is a novel, so this is, we're only looking at a set number of pages, but the overall deconstruction can help you guys construct your episodes. So I'm going to just take a look at that with you guys real quick. So this is Dark Matter, A Ghost Story, and here I've written out the premise. And across the top, I also have 5 images that show, the situation, the choice that the main character Jack has to make. There's a journey, there's a ghost, and then there's a question of survival. So the premise reads, January 1937, clouds of war are gathering over a fog-bound London. 28-year-old Jack is poor, lonely, and desperate to change his life. So when he's offered the chance to join an Arctic expedition, he jumps at it. Spirits are high as the ship leaves Norway, 5 men and 8 huskies crossing the Barents Sea by the light of the midnight sun. At last they reach the remote, uninhabited bay where they will camp for the next year, Gruhukin. But the Arctic summer is brief. As night returns to claim the land, Jack feels a creeping unease. One by one, his companions are forced to leave. He faces a stark choice: stay or go. Soon he will see the last of the sun as the polar night engulfs the camp in months of darkness. Soon he will reach the point of no return, when the sea will freeze, making escape impossible. Gruhuken is not uninhabited. Jack is not alone. Something walks there in the dark. Does it give you chills? It gave me chills reading. Every time I read it, it gives me chills. So yeah, this is why I love, I love this book. Okay, so let me just head on over to the next page. And here what I've done is I've created a plot paradigm and I have deconstructed the story myself. And so basically what happens here is in a novel, you have backstory, and then you have Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and then you have a future story, potentially. You have your setup, your confrontation, and your resolution. And within your confrontation, you have a first half and a second half. But you can take this plot paradigm and turn it into 5 acts instead of the typical 3-act structure, which, the middle act has 2 separate components, so it's sort of 4-act. But anyway, then you have the beginning and then you have the end. So you can expand this 3-act structure into a 5-act structure. Okay. So basically, what we're looking at here is that story, begins on the day that things are different. Something happens to sweep the character or characters into a new reality. And your characters want something. So here you want to make sure that we know what the goals are of your characters. Okay, so we're setting that up here. Then we have confrontation and we have rising tension. So there's an opposing force, that your character has to face, and that may be an obstacle or a challenge, but basically the opposing force gets in the way of your character achieving their goals. Then we have, the climax where it's the dark night of the soul, all appears lost, all appears dead, all appears totally and utterly destroyed. And then you have your resolution. And of course, this is the main character, battles the opposing force and wins or loses, which will, indicate whether or not it's a tragedy. So here, you can do a visual plot construction similar to this, and you can literally draw it out if you want visually in this way. I've probably told you guys this story a million times, but I used to take a blank wall in my apartment, and I would take index cards and I would write the scenes on the index cards, and then I would plot them onto the blank wall, and I would increase the rise in tension. And if this scene and this scene needed to switch, I would just peel them off the wall, switch them, and put them back into the rising tension of my plot paradigm. I've also used large sheets of paper, for example, and I've mapped it out like literally with markers. And I also had a wall painted with chalkboard paint at one point. And so then I used chalk and I could just outline and draw and erase and reorder my scenes in whichever way that I wanted. So you guys have all of these tools available to you. Of course, we're not all together in one room where we can use chalkboard or blackboard paint, but you'll be using it in your Google Doc to decide on this rising tension and the A, B, and C storylines. So let me just take you over to this worksheet here is what I just showed you, and I'll make this worksheet available to you guys, so if you want to use something like this, you can. But also, you can turn it into a checklist in a way. So here in this checklist, what you have is you have Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, and then you see the bolded points here, which are your reversals or plot points. So what I did was, I put the page numbers, and then, there's a little checkbox there. So let's see. Here's the worksheet version of it, which I'll make available to you guys. But here in the worksheet, you can actually, on the left, you can write the scene or the scenes, in that first column. And then over here, in the written column, you can place an X to say when that scene has been written. One thing I really like about using a worksheet like this is that you guys could all collaborate on this worksheet together. And when each one of the scenes has been written, you just X it off so that your writing partners know that that scene is complete. So with this kind of worksheet, what you can do is you can split it up into Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, and Act 5. And you can plot out the scenes that need to happen. And you can sort of, in this way, have like an overview of each part, the A, B, and C storylines and how they move through the 5 acts. And so now it gets a little bit complicated, but what you want to make sure you do is that you know what's going to happen in the pilot in the first episode, you know what needs to happen in episode 2, and you know what needs to happen in episode 3. So when you look at those 3 episodes together, there should also be an arc, right? So those 3 put together should look like this. Okay. So you put your 3 episodes together and you see that rising tension, your battle scene, your dark night of the soul, and your resolution. Okay, that's the 3 together. And then you take them apart and you have episode 1 and you have another paradigm within there. Rising tension, some kind of battle, inner, outer. And then you put that aside, and that leads you to the introduction again. And we're going to come back into it with more tension in the second episode. We're going to have some resolution in that second episode, and that'll introduce us to our episode 3. Okay? So put them all together. You have a plot paradigm. Take them apart. They each also have rising tension, beginning, middle, end. And all 3 storylines interwoven. Okay? Now, it sounds complicated, but you guys have done so much work on character backstories, and you already have written the plot points for each of your characters. So now you're going to take those plot points and you're going to, mesh them together. And we're going to see what happens, right? All right. So your showrunner has made us a new Google Doc. And I think our old Google Doc, we were up to like 110 pages. For Practicum Class now, we have a separate Google Doc. And what you want to do for this Google Doc is scroll down to the table of contents and go to the last one, storylines. Let's see. Let me just, all right. 1 second. Minor technical issues. Here we go. All right. So you guys can see this, right? Okay. Scroll down through the table of contents. Here we are. And the very last one, click on that. Storylines. And here you go. So your showrunner has already made a rudimentary 5-act structure, and now we want to, we're going to do this 3 times for each episode, and we're going to start weaving in the scenes. And I love that you've written scenes we love and scenes we want to add. So, of course, you already came up with some scenes that you can't wait to put into this story. So where will those go? Where will the scenes that you love be plotted? Are they going in episode 1, episode 2, episode 3? And then within each episode, which act will that scene fall under? Okay, so that's about it for today. I just wanted to give you those reminders about plotting your story and how you can sort of use like an accordion and put all 3 episodes together and then pull all 3 episodes apart. And how within each one you still have your introduction, you still have your rising tension, you still have your conflict and your resolution. Okay, so let's get to plotting. We're going to plot for this class, and then we're going to plot some more for our next class. And after the plotting is done, you guys are on your own, no more video lectures. All you're going to be doing is working with your partners and writing the TV episodes, the scripts. So that's super exciting, and I can't wait to read them. All right, so I'll see you during our Facebook call next. Bye.